Okay,
Hi.
everybody, we're live on Facebook.
So you have to pretend to look intelligent now?
Yeah.
Just friendly.
No, that's when we ask everybody to turn on the cameras for the photographs, you know. The group photo area.
All right, so it's 9 o'clock. Let's go, gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my friends. Welcome to ABF Online Talk, Passion for Birding. Last week, we listened to Philip's excellent presentation about Chinese birding culture. Today, we will learn more about birding hotspots in China from good bird guides of alpine birding, led by Philip Hurd. My understanding that alpine birding was established in 2010, the same year as the first Asian bird fair in Davao, Philippines. I guess that's one of the reasons, or maybe top reason why Philip is very supportive to ABF. So last week, I've introduced Philip a lot. I gave him good introduction. And today, for some of you, new to us, I just will say briefly, Philip is the owner and the general manager of Alpine Birding, and they operate birding tours for international birders to China. And later on, Philip will lead the panel discussion of birding hotspots in Taiwan. So now I over to Philip. Philip, please.
Hello, everybody. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Well. Thank you.
Okay. So last time I shared our ideas about the birding culture in China. And one of the important part of the birding culture is actually the beauty of the birds, and also how the beauty of the birds being presented to our guests so as to create beautiful memories for our guests. So for alpine birding, we are determined to provide good birding experiences for our people, for our guests. So tonight we have two of our colleagues to share their experiences, how they are attracted by birds, and also they'll share more information about the birding hotspots in China. And here I would like to say a little bit more about Bella. Bella studied, was attracted to birds by working on the photos, and then become interested. And then she started to learn, and she become very good birder and bird guide. So everything behind this is actually the beauty of the birding culture, or beauty of the birds. So tonight, first we will have Bella to share with you her experiences about birds and birding hotspots in China. So Bella, please.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks, Philip. So here we go. I'll start sharing my screen. Oops. Just a second. Can everybody see it and hear me well?
Excellent.
Thanks a lot. Well, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's been such a pleasure to once again be here as a speaker in our last season of ABF Talks, online talks. And in Philip's last week's presentation, we have talked a lot about Chinese birds, Chinese birding route, birding culture, and also the reservation, local community development. But today I would like to focus on my personal birding stories and share my birding experiences in China. Mostly I'll focus on the southwestern part. So how did the story start? I feel like basically has covered much of it. I mean, I'm into nature. I love nature, birds, everything, wildlife, but I didn't know too much about it until I got a chance to work as an intern at Alpine Birding back in 2016. And from 2016 to 2017, I was working as an editor at Alpine Birding. My main work is to write articles and add photos, a lot of photos. I got a chance to see those beautiful photos, and those photos, they unfortunately, they transferred me, who can live a happy, normal life, and into a birder. Now I am suffering from this miserable, birding life now. So how did the story start? All stories start with a bird. I think everybody have your first bird. My first bird was a black-throated bush-tit. One day I was looking through all those pictures in my office, and this photo just came up. When I looked at this photo, I was like, oh my God, this bird is cute and it's so big. You know, back at that time, I got no idea of what a bush tit looks like. So I thought it's a big one. So I asked the photographer who took this photo. I asked where did he take this photo. He said, actually, this bird is super easy. You can see it downstairs at the city park. So I stored this information in my mind. And one day when I was walking at a city park, suddenly I heard this noisy, high-pitched calls from a flock of little birds, but they were moving quickly, so fast, I barely can catch any details. So you can't believe I just followed this flock for half an hour before I finally got some details of this bird, and I realized that those birds are the bird I saw in that picture, and they are so tiny. When you look at them from distance, they're just a bunch of just some moving black dots. So I decided to buy my first pair of binoculars. From there, I started my journey, my birding journey. And in the past 5 years, I've been birding to a lot of places in China and also outside China. This is the places I have been, but I can't share all of them with you tonight. So I'll be focused on four places that I go most frequently, and those also the places I went recently. First place is the Sichuan. Roughly, it's a basin surrounded by mountains. If you want to do a birding trip in China, this Sichuan must be the very first place you wanted to go, because firstly, it has the most endemic species of China, and secondly, it has various habitats. It has subtropical forests to the west, and you have those high snow mountains, the famous one like the Balang Mountain. And if you go a bit to the north, you got the plateau, the Qinghai. It's the eastern edge of the Qinghai-Tibetan Plateau. So you have grasslands, plateau wetlands, and also plateau high elevation forests, all different habitats. If you want to do a Sichuan trip, the best time is spring and summer, depending on what you want to see. But for a classic trip, we normally do it from late May to late June. We can do 2 weeks or 3 weeks. for a 2-week or 3-week trip, you can see about 260 to 300 species. There are roughly about 750 species in Sichuan, so you can see a lot of them, including some interesting families and endemic species. Here, those 2 or 3 weeks trip covering the most popular hotspots. I want to share some photos of birds you can see in Bala Mountain and the Western subtropical forest, and also the plateau. Okay, first we'll start with pheasants, because that's how I started my birding. When you firstly started birding, you get all your attention on those big colorful birds. Golden pheasant is the very first pheasants I saw after I started birding. You can see it in Bala Mountain, and if you visit there in April, if you come to Sichuan in April, you have chances to see males fighting each other. Here are some other pheasant species. This is a white-eared pheasant. It's endemic to China. You can also find it in Balangshan. All those pheasant species, you can find it in Balangshan. Balangshan is very good for pheasants, rose finches, and laughing thrushes. Chinese mono, the starbird of Bala Mountain. If you want this, better visit Bala Mountain in May and June. We need to go to the elevation about 3,500 meters, and you need to get up early and get there before sunrise. Timmins dragon pine, you can also see it in Bala Mountain, but we normally find it in another place. Firstly, you pay attention to this big colorful pheasants, and then you notice that small birds can be very colorful too, like this white-browed tipped warbler. I think this is one of the most beautiful birds of China. You can also see it in Balangshan, and it's relatively easy. Small colorful birds, Grandala. We normally see it around the snow line, but sometimes they come down to lower elevations, but you always see them in flocks. At summer, you see small flocks, and in winter, you see big flocks. Another group of colorful birds, and you can find in Balangshan. The red-fronted rose finch, normally a little bit higher. You can find them around 4,000. And this Chinese white-browed rose finch, they're very common. You can see them around the Chinese mono area. It's a tunnel. You can see this hotspot at eBird, the tunnel. And the crimson brown finch also around 3,500 meters around the tunnel area. Then after those colorful birds, you find and you realize that some birds, they probably not that colorful, but they're still cool, still cute. My bad. For example, parrotbills. Mostly we try those parrotbills in the western subtropical forests. If you look at eBird, if you look the hotspot at eBird, you can search for Wawushan or Longchanggou. In this little small reserve or forest park, you can there are about 5 to 6 parrotbill species. The three-toed parrotbill it's not that difficult, and this is also endemic to China. Vivis Parabill. This is the place. And just if you want to say the red panda, you can also try this one at the Panda Park. And spectacled parabill, this one we normally see it at a higher elevation around above 3,500, but in the wintertime they also come down to lower places, also endemic to China. And then I start to pay attention to other families like the laughing thrushes. All these 3 laughing thrush species are endemic to China. The first 2 you can find them in Balangshan, the Balang Mountain, and the plain laughing thrush will normally go to the plateau area. And then you're just not looking at those interesting families and the colorful birds. You start pay attention to this endemics, even that they don't have too much color, right? And for example, this Sichuan jay. This is one of the top targets you want to get when you visit Sichuan, but this one is not that easy. Let's say 50% chances to find it, and when you just start enjoying all these birds and you find out a crucial and harsh result, and you also have those leaf wobblers. Nobody warned you there are leaf wobblers ahead when you start your birding journey, right? Although they are very helpful to reach your China list, but at the beginning of my birding life, I just pretend that those birds are not existed because they're so difficult that they look exactly similar. But the more you say and you'll still start on notice, and the more you learn, and you'll know that the vocalizations are so significant and different. That's very helpful for you to differentiate them from each other. And just this is roughly some birds, highlight birds I want to share with you about Sichuan. And basically, if you want to visit Sichuan, everything is very good. I mean, everything is good. Food is amazing. Sichuan food is the best for me, and hotel is good. Sometimes we need to stay at guest house, but they are all clean, comfortable. Road are good, but occasionally we will have to do some road tracks, to pass through some road tracks, but it's not a problem at all. And following that, I would like to share some information about the Qinghai-Tibetan Plateau. This is the place I visit after Sichuan, also one of my favorite places. Although this place is very different, the habitat, it is famous. It's not famous for its diversity, but the specialty there is very good. Normally in this area, the main habitats are grassland, desert, and shrubs. We also have some woodlands and subtropical forest. But here you can see a lot of special plateau species. The best time to visit this place is summer, July and August. I mean, for birds, if you want mammal photos, that's another story. You want to do it in winter for mammal photography. Normally we do a 2-week trip here, and those places are the main places that hotspots are the main places that we go, and we spend a lot of time in these shrubs or bushes around the lake area or around around Xining, the capital city of Qinghai province. The very top target we want is the Przewalski's pinktail. This bird is very unique. a bird of its own family and one of the oldest species on the plateau. Not difficult in July if you go to we normally search it in Rubber Mountain, Xiangpishan, to the east of the Qinghai Lake. We get better chance in the morning, and in the shrub area, bush areas, we can also find Alashan red start, another very important target. And then we also pay attention to grassland, where we can find a lot of predators like lemurgers, other vultures. These pictures, and then a lot of pictures of my presentation are from one of my friend Kai, is from Shanghai, and then he have done a lot of trips with us. We visited this, we got those photos last summer. We also visit some farmlands. We got this Joran partridge in Chaka. We in the farmland around Chaka County, and in the desert area, we can find some desert species like this. This is the one we want the most, Mongolia Guangxi. But in the deserted areas, there are also other important species like this Tibetan sand grouse. It's not easy to see such a big flock in summer, but we can see them, a lot of them in winter. We see big flocks of 100 last winter. And if you go to the plateau, birds are just one thing you wanna get. You don't want to miss the mammals, and then palace cats is one of them you don't want to miss. We were there, we got this video 2 weeks ago. This cat stayed in the same area for the whole day, so we got a chance to take a close videos. And also we can get another cat species, this Eurasian lynx. We also have chance for snow leopard, but it's difficult. You need to spend roughly a week there, and then you need to camp inside the habitat. That one is tough. So for Qinghai part, food is good. Not too many choices compared with Sichuan, but still very delicious. Road is very good, but hotel, it depends on what we want. If you want some tough targets, sometimes we need to camp or stay at the ranger station inside the habitat, but normally we don't. We just stay at hotels and nice guest houses, so not a problem at all. Then I also want to share some photos of Hainan and Guangxi, because we were just came back from there this February. For Hainan, this is the isolated environment, so you can see some. We focus on some endemic species and subspecies. There, we normally spend 1 week top. We don't spend too many days there. The best time to do it is winter and spring. The best place is called Jianfengling National Forest Park. It's roughly at the west end of the island. But besides that, there are also other important birding places that on the coastal area, and there are some grassland. But for Jianfengling part, we can see some interesting forest species like this one, Hainan blue flycatcher, and this russet-tailed tree pie. Normally this one, it joins flocks. So if you hear laughing thrushes or sometimes babblers, you need to pay attention and check the canopy to say if this guy is around. Hainan leaf warbler, this one is easy. If you go to the higher elevation area of the Jianfengling, you can hear them calling a lot. You can also pay attention to this subspecies. You say the right one is the Hainan subspecies. It looks like, totally different compared with the one we can see in other places of China. But here in Jianfengling, you normally don't have too many birding hours. It's a tropical area, so from after 10 a.m. is the bird just the situation is going bad. The best hours is in the morning and the late afternoon, and the coast area, around the coastal area, there are some wetlands. You can also find some interesting birds like this white-browed creek, and around on this grassland you can find this blue-breasted quail, also called king quail. This bird, when I first saw it, I was shocked. Because it's teeny tiny, just like a little duck. It's just like a duck chick size, very small but very colorful. And if you go to the coastal area, you can see some shorebirds like this one, spoon-billed sandpiper. This is easier in Hainan because they're actually a little pass you can walk on, and you can walk roughly like 500 meters and you can reach that sandpiper area. Okay, so in Hainan, everything is good. The island itself is very small. You can drive 3.5 hours from the north to the south. Hotels are also very good, clean and comfortable, but in Jianfengling part, the food sometimes can be simple, but still not bad. And then because Hainan part, we normally do a short trip, so we normally combine with Guangxi. In Guangxi, mostly we just explore the subtropical forest. And Guangxi, the best time is also winter and the spring. This place is very friendly for bird photographers, but also for birders. It's easy for you to say because there are a lot of bird hides, bird blinds. But for people who don't enjoy bird blinds, it could be a issue because you don't see too many birds in the wild, but you see all of them in the hides. You can spend like 5 days there and you can roughly get 130-40 species there. And everything is in the hide. But the top target you want to get there is Nonggang babbler. This is a recently described species. It was described in 2008 by a group of Chinese ornithologists. And spectacled burrowing also in hide, and they visit the hide in flocks. So very easy. Grey Valley Tassia, it's very hard to see in the wild, and especially to get a photo, but easy in the hide. And also this barback partridge. I haven't seen it once in the wild, but it visits the hides as well. So also very easy. So if you don't visit the bird hides or you just passing by, you can visit a city park in Nanning. You can also see some interesting birds like this crimson sunbird. For Hainan part, I think everything is good. Food is good. Yummy, I can say, and the road is good. If you go to Nonggang to see the Nonggang babbler, you need to stay at the guest house. They don't have private bathroom, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. So the more we see all these birds, I realize I don't care too much about the color or is endemic or not, but I pay more attention to this interesting phenomenon. So at the end of my talk, I want to share this little video we got this February. This is what we, Philip, Wenyi, and I we were in Guangxi, and we observed this interesting phenomenon. Let's take a look first. So in this video, we can say it's quite interesting that this alloprene behavior happened between Nongam babbler and the spot-necked babbler. After we observed this, we've done some readings and studying on it, but we're still not sure why it happens. It was in a hide after they had some they can, I think they were taking a break. The Nongam babbler was sitting on this little branch, then the spotted-necked babbler came up and just helped to clean his feathers and do everything. We still don't know why it happens. We even have different ideas over which one is the dominant one, but I found this phenomenon is quite interesting. So my point is, the more we the more we watch, more interesting things we find. So this is the end of my talk. I'm giving the screen back to Philip. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, thank you, Philip.
Okay, Bella, thank you for wonderful sharing. Just to come up with me one question for you. Maybe the people have other questions. So I'm not so for the alloprene, and so how frequently does this allopruning happens?
Wow, a good question. Thank you so much for the for in non-captivity environment, this behavior this behavior happens frequently between these individuals of the same species, especially the social birds. But for allopruning between different species, it's very rare, and a few times it has been recorded. So it's a phenomenon under study. Wenyi was there with us, so probably he can ask something about this question.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so is this allopruning between different species really rare? It's only been recorded in I think between black vulture and crested caracara in North America, and also between spoonbill and ibis in Australia. So yeah, it's a really rare phenomenon, and we're reading a lot of research articles and trying to figure out exactly how to explain this, and hopefully we can publish something to make, turning this anecdote into some sort of science. So that's the goal. Yeah.
Thank you, Wenyi. Okay, so now next, maybe now it's already line 34. So I think maybe it's time for us to give this mic to Wenyi to share his study of birds in Yunnan province. So hello, Wenyi, please.
Hey, Philip. So should I share now?
Yes, you start sharing now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. This is okay. So do you guys see my screen?
Yes, very clear.
It's very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well. Thank you.
All right, so let's get started. My name is Wenyi, like Philip said. Also, you're welcome to call my nickname, which is Luke. If that works easier. Just before this presentation, I want to start off by saying thank you to the ABF, to Victor, and to Philip and Bella for giving me this opportunity to share my experience. I hope this presentation will help you not only learn these birds, but also better prepare your future trip to this region, if you ever come to this region. Here's the outline of my presentation, just so that you know how it is structured. I will start off by introducing myself, since I'm pretty new to this group. I think this is only my third time attending ABF meeting. I will talk about my past birding experience and how that leads to where I am right now as a birder. And after that, I will introduce the Tongbiguan region, where it's located, and how biologically diverse it is. And after that, I will cover 3 birding hotspots in this region. There are many hotspots, but I won't be able to cover all of them for the sake of time. And lastly, I will talk about mixed species flocking phenomenon, which is very common in this region. And I think it's good to have some expectations as to which species like to participate in the same type of flock. I'm from China. I was born and raised in China, but I started birding when I was in the Amazonian rainforest in South America. At that time, I was doing a lot of long-term bird banding, bird monitoring program through bird banding. And I really liked the field work, so I thought, oh, maybe I could do this for a little bit longer. And then I decided to apply for a graduate school in the US. Now I am a graduate student at the University of Florida. And in my free time, I also, I have led some bird tours in Peru and now in China. But unlike Philip and Bella, I am not as professional at all. I'm trying to get better. I think this is an interesting field, bird guiding. So this is the Tongbiguan region. Here are some maps to get you guys oriented. So let's see if we can, yeah. So here, the map on the top right, this is the country of China with the province of Yunnan highlighted in green. And if you move down, this is the province of Yunnan with the prefecture called Dehong highlighted in yellow. So you see this little triangle here. This is the town of Tongbiguan. It's very close to the China-Myanmar boundary or the border. And this is subtropical monsoon rainforest. So it rains a lot from June to October. Usually people visit this place in the dry season. And so I'm referring to this region here as the Tongbiguan region. And this is also where I work majorly. However, this whole area from here to here. This is all part of Tongbiguan Nature Reserve, and it stretches along the border of China and Myanmar. And it lies across 3 different counties. Here is Yingjiang and Longchuan, and lastly, Ruili. You can see that these different sections are very disconnected. But anyway, the Tongbiguan Nature Reserve is a lot bigger than the Tongbiguan region that I'm referring to. So you have the Danyangshan section here. This is higher elevation sites. Higher elevation, the peak of Danyangshan is only 3,300 meters. So it's not as high as the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau that Bella was talking about. So Yunnan in general is known for its biodiversity, and this is really shown by the data on both eBird and the Chinese eBird, or the China Bird Report. And not only is this place biologically diverse, it is also culturally diverse. There are many ethnic minority groups, and the 2 groups that I interact with the most during my work are Jingpo and Dai. So here you can see these Jingpo people, they're celebrating their Munao festival, which happens in January. And this is, you have a leader dancing in front and many people following the leader, and they're all dancing together. And what's interesting to me is that local people told me that some of their dance moves mimic the movement of hornbills. That is very interesting. And here you can see Dai people celebrating their water pouring festival, which happens in April. So they believe when you pour water onto other people's body, you're getting rid of their bad luck. I think I really look forward to participating in these 2 events, especially the water pouring festival. However, the China, the COVID policies, right now these 2 festivals are prohibited because of COVID policies. So if you like the cultural aspect of traveling, then you should plan your trip accordingly, so January and April. All right, so we can talk about birds and birding hotspots. So I will only cover 3 hotspots. The one here, this is Nabang on the top left. This is lower elevation, except this hotspot here. This is an old Silk Road and is higher elevation, but right now this is closed. And I have only been there once, so I really don't know much about this site. And also the next birding hotspot is the China Hornbill Valley, which when I was making this PowerPoint, I saw this China Toucan Valley. We don't really have any toucans. Those are New World species. So we should probably tell Google to hire someone who knows about birds. And lastly, I will cover the Yingjiang, the city of Yingjiang. Around the city of Yingjiang, there are some interesting birds as well. So first of all, Nabang, here, the northwest lower elevation hotspot. This is mostly agricultural land and fish ponds and some shrubby habitat. Recently, people have been doing a lot of banana planting. So the banana plantations are getting bigger and bigger. So the amount of habitat available for birding has reduced quite a bit. However, you can still see many interesting birds. It's still definitely worth a visit. Here are some interesting birds. Here you have the wire-tailed swallow. If these 2 were a pair, then the one on the left would be a male, and the one on the right would be a female. And that is because you can see these tail feathers, the outer 2 tail feathers are more elongated on the one on males in this species. So for me, it's always interesting to look at these such elaborate traits or characteristic of birds and think about how it evolved in the first place. And because of this sexual dimorphism, with males having longer tail feathers and females having shorter, you tend to think that it's all because of sexual selection. However, these outer tail feathers also help these birds maneuver when they're, help their flight performance, especially when they're turning. So it could be that these birds first evolved these outer tail feathers because of, to enhance their flight performance, and then sexual selection forces started acting on these birds, and they grew longer and longer. Another interesting, really two interesting species are these weavers. You can only see them in the breeding season because that's when they come and build their nests. So we have the streaked weaver and the baya weaver. Notice here, I didn't show a picture of the baya weaver. That is because I think the picture of their nests are much more interesting than just putting one bird here. So if you look at these nests, you see that some of them are, for example, this one here on the right is different from the one here, right? In that this one here has this tube section, whereas this one doesn't. So this is only a partially built nest. The male has finished part of the nest building, and now it has to find a mate. So only when he finds a mate will he starts building his nest again, with or without the help of the female. But here, this male has already found a mate, so it has already started building the tube section, which later becomes the entrance. So it's very interesting to look at this nest colony and see different individuals are at different reproduction stages for me. So, oh yeah, so did I mention that these birds in the non-breeding season, you really can't see them, and you have to wait maybe till May. I think last year we went in May, and they were just arriving and started building their nest. Another interesting species, since I talked too much about the last two, I will just briefly talk about this one. This ibisbill has its own family. It's a very unique bird. And unlike the weavers, you can only see this bird in the non-breeding season because it migrates along the elevation. So it migrates to higher elevation in the breeding season. So come in the wintertime if you want to look for this ibisbill. All right, our next birding hotspot in the Tongbiguan region is the Hornbill Valley. And this is, unlike Nabang, this is a mixture of mature forest, young forest, shrubland, and also some agricultural land. So this is it's the paradise for bird photographers. So bird photographers should really like this place. Although right now, because of COVID policies, a lot of these bird blind owners have stopped feeding these birds. Some of them have shut down their bird blinds. So it's really sad. This is a picture I took last year. Of course, here you can see pheasants. You can not only see these pheasants, but also some partridges. We have two species of partridges, the rufous-throated partridge, and also the other one, white-cheeked partridge. And here you have the Kalaj pheasant, gray peacock pheasant, and silver pheasant. These birds are hard to see in the field if you're birding. They're not impossible to see in the field, but very difficult. And of course, very difficult to photograph. But when they're in these bird blinds, they're a lot easier to photograph. You can also see these very cute cartoon species like the long-tailed broadbill and silver-breasted broadbill. The long-tailed broadbill, you don't really have to go into these bird blinds to see them. Even in some artificial plantation forests, you can see this species. And the silver-breasted is a little bit more difficult to see. And one interesting thing about this species is these silver spots on its breast. Only the females have these silver spots. So it's a kind of a reversed sexual dimorphism there. And of course, it's called Hornbill Valley for a reason. There are 3 species of hornbills that can be reliably seen in the Hornbill Valley. We have the wreathed hornbill, great hornbill, and oriental pied hornbill. the best season to see them is from February to May. That's when the females are nesting in these nest tree cavities, and they will seal themselves into these cavities, and the males will have to will have to come back with food to feed the females, but also their offspring. So yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that people will build observation towers like bird blinds for you to photograph these birds during their nesting season, which is from February to May. And lastly, this Yinjiang floodplain is, if you fly to the Tongbiguan, if you fly to Tengchong, and you are definitely going to pass by the Yinjiang floodplain, the city of Yinjiang, and you should really make a stop to see the birds around the city, which are quite good. This is mostly wetland and riparian habitat. So one target species that many people look for is the vulnerable river tern. That is considered vulnerable by the IUCN, mostly because of dam developments and also our activity, human activity on the sandbars. That's where they nest, right? So, and also we have another species here, the red abadabat. In the breeding plumage, it looks like this, with a yellow belly. So we have the yellow-bellied subspecies. And in the non-breeding season, they look rather drab. I think you have to wait till June to see the breeding plumage, or maybe a little bit earlier. And remember the allopreening that Bella was talking about. This species also does a lot of allopreening, but intraspecifically, so within that one, within this species. All right, so here is the last section of my talk, and I want to talk more about mixed species flocks. I think flocking is a very important phenomenon here. And if you come to the Tongbiguan region to go birding, you will see flock after flock after flock. And if you don't have some expectations as to which birds like to be together, you can easily get lost. Some of these birds move very fast. So yeah. And I won't get into why these birds form, why flocks form, and or how and why these flocks form. But that can be, we can leave that for the discussion. And instead, I will talk about several types of mixed species flocks. There are many types, like I have shown here, but I won't be able to cover all of them. So let's start with the first mixed species flock type. I call it the Yunnan forwarded flock because this is the most conspicuous species. It has large single species flocks. So, seeing one mixed species flock, you can see up to 20, 30, maybe even more individuals of Yunnan forwarded. And it seems like this species is playing a role of a leader. And I know it's kind of subjective for me to say that, but I've been watching them, and it seems like when this flock crosses a gap, usually the Yunnan forwarded is the first one that crosses. And also this bird has amazing ability to give alarm calls, and that is another characteristics that make other birds want to follow it, right? They feel safer because you are able to give alarm calls, so they feel like someone's always watching out for them, right? So these two babbler species, they are a little bit smaller and they move faster than the Yunnan forwarded. They're hard to see, and they almost don't occur solitarily. So usually, if you want to find them, you have to look for the Yunnan forwarded. And when you see this flock, at the first 5, 6 birds you're going to see are these Yunnan forwarded, but you just have to be patient and you have to look carefully for these other birds, and they will eventually appear. They move in, these two babblers, they move in very dense foliage. So yeah, you really have to be patient and look for movement that's different from that of the Yunnan forwarded. And same for this chestnut crown warbler, is also very small and it moves fast. But it has this bright rump, which you can sometimes see. And this species also makes a very high-pitched sound. You can also listen for that. And here, this white-throated fantail, this is one of my favorite species in the Tongbiguan region, mostly because of this species' foraging technique. It has these white tips on its outer tail feathers. And this contrasts with the dark coloration of its tail. So this contrast is very important because it startles insects. So when this bird forages, it fans its tail. That's how it gets its name. It fans its tail and shows this contrast in coloration, and insects get scared up. So this bird will then fly catch these insects. So yeah, these birds these species are the core members of this flock type, but there can also be other birds that join this flock. So here is another type of understory flock, also led by a Fovetta. But this Fovetta is not in the laughing thrush family anymore. It's in another family. And it's followed by 3 different species of warblers that look exactly the same, except they sound different. There are some minor differences between just in appearance. For example, this one has a line behind the eye, but these 2, I can't really tell them apart, except with the sound, with their vocalization. So a lot of people think of this rusty-capped Fovetta as a species that usually sticks to themselves, right? Like they can have flock from 8 to 12 individuals, but all same species. Even Birds of the World says that this species doesn't interact much with other species. However, when I watch them, I think that's not the case. These other birds can follow this bird. If you have to be kind of patient because these birds are really hard to watch. They're in the very dense understory. And this species has a foraging technique. It forages on the ground and it uses its bill to turn fallen foliage over. And this movement is very important because it creates a lot of, it scares up insects to the air. And these species take advantage of that by striking these insects. So this is what's called a beating effect. So you have a beater, which is the Fovetta. It forages on the ground and it creates food that becomes available to these other birds, these salliers. So yeah, this is another type of flock to keep an eye out. And here is the canopy flock. Notice here, I didn't include even half of the common participants in this type of flock, just because there are many species that can participate in canopy flocks. And when canopy flocks mix with the understory flocks, that's when it gets very, very busy. You know, you can have more than 30 species at one time. So the species that I didn't mention, for example, here we have the red-tailed minla, but the blue-winged minla can also be found. And here we have the long-tailed minivet, for example. The scarlet minivets and the short-billed minivets can also the gray-throated or ashy-throated minivets can also join. And tits, we can also have the green-backed tits and the Japanese tits. And here we have a velvet-fronted nuthatch, but the chestnut vented nuthatch can also join. So yeah, there could be many, many species joining the canopy flock. One thing I want to say about this lesser racket-tailed drongo, one day I was talking with some local person, and he asked me, why do you think this species has these long tail feathers? As I said, I don't know, because I didn't know. And he told me that it has these long tails so that other birds can follow it. And I thought that was very interesting. That's just, local knowledge being very awesome. I don't know how to test that hypothesis, but I think it seems to really match my observation. This bird really kind of sometimes leads the movement of the entire flock. And is also very vocal by doing all sorts of mimicking. Yeah. And we also have this bamboo flock, which is also very interesting to look for. And to look for this flock, you have to go to where there's bamboo, as the name suggested. So you can listen for the scimitar babbler is very typical, the sound, or you can listen for the vocalization of this white-hooded babbler. It goes kind of like, so you can listen for that. And so yeah, if you go into a large patch of bamboo, there is a very high chance of seeing these birds. And I should also mention that sometimes the pale-headed parrotbill, a pale-billed parrotbill, can also be found in this type of flock, as well as the coral-billed scimitar babbler. Yes. Lastly, I want to talk about this to me, most spectacular type of flock. These birds are all bigger than the previous ones, and why I said this flock is very spectacular, because each individual species here is very noisy itself. And think about all these birds foraging together. They create a lot of noise, and this white-crested laughing thrush and lesser necklace laughing thrush, and here this is the common necklace laughing thrush, and greater yellow nape, and this is a common green magpie, and finally this is my favorite bird in China, in greater rackettail drongo. So yeah, you kind of have to go to a little bit lower elevation to see this type of flock. But when you encounter them, you encounter them. They make so much noise. Just one thing I want to mention about the drongo, it is known for being able to give alarm calls. And that's kind of why other species want to associate themselves with the drongo, because they feel safer, because the drongos are looking out for predators. However, these drongos are also known for giving false alarm calls in order to manipulate other species. So sometimes this drongo can fake an alarm call, and other species will think, okay, there is a predator, and they get scared and they drop their food, and the drongos will go and pick up, steal their food. I personally haven't really observed that behavior, but that's really happens even with the fork-tailed drongo in Africa. So the drongo family in general is very intelligent. So yeah, here is the end of my talk, and I really thank your attention listening to my presentation. And if you have any questions, you don't hesitate to contact us. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Wenyi. I can feel your passion and love and devotion toward birds. I'm just curious. I do lots of birding and also taking lots of good photos, but I said spend time studying birds. So from academic point of view, so why different birds, they flock together or they mix the flock, mixed flocks appears? Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Philip. So yeah, it mostly comes down to two reasons. One is to enhance their foraging, and one is to avoid predation or to lower predation risk. So we can talk about these two. One sec. So going back to the example that I gave here, right? So this is a mixed species flock because you have two different species foraging together. And in this case, the Fovetta is creating food that is otherwise not available to these warblers, right? By foraging on the ground and turning fallen foliage, this bird creates food for these warblers and enhances their foraging success. So that's for the foraging. And for anti-predation, as I mentioned before, these, for example, the fovetas and the drongo, they are able to give alarm calls. They have an alarm calling ability that's perhaps better than other species. So that is also providing another benefit related to anti-predation. And it's important to note that these two benefits are not mutually exclusive, because if you are spending less time watching out for predators, then you can spend more time foraging, right? So you can have both of these benefits. You can achieve both of these benefits at the same time. So yeah, I hope that answered your question, Philip.
Thank you. So I think now maybe we can just pass the mic to Victor. Yeah, because now it's getting pretty late. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bella and Wenyi. Excellent presentation. Really good, really good. Very informative. We see lots of beautiful birds. So, questions? Yes, Maya. Oh, okay, Sun Yong. Yes.
No, I was clapping my hands.
You're clapping your hands. Okay, right. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Oh yeah, I just have a question about the two Bellas. I just want to know more about the spoonbill sandpiper you found in Hainan. So you just said you could see the spoonbill sandpiper very close, and I was so surprised. So how many birds have you seen in Hainan and when? So could you explain more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your questions again. We were there late January, and we visited this coach area, and there are a lot of mud flats in that area. So you have to wear boots, right? Everywhere you want to see the spoonbill sandpiper, you wear boots and you walk into the mud flat. But the thing is, there's a little path about 500 meters. They're well proved. They're very tough, hard to walk on. So it's very easy for you to walk on with your equipment. And those sandpipers, they are not that afraid of people if you don't do this sudden move. You just stay there and move slowly. You can get quite close. We were about 10, 15 meters away from that bird. Yeah, the close one, I was about 15 meters. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Before we have more questions to these two speakers, then let's take a group photo first, all right? It's a bit late now. So John, please, Hiroko. Thank you, Hiroko. Javier, thank you. Johnny. Hello, Johnny. Hello, Mr. Johnny from Uganda. And John Chun. Hello. Okay, we got you. Great, thank you, Johnny. And Mike. Hello, Mike. Hello, boss Mike. Where are you, Mike? But anyway, we see his good-looking photo. Let's take a group photo, okay? So once again, look at the camera, please. Smile and 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Oh, okay, let's do it for Mike again. Okay, Mike, hold on. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Okay, let's have more questions. Sorry about the time. Are there? Yes, Scott.
Yeah, I just had a question for Bella about visiting Sichuan and Yunnan. And it's often hard to get 2 to 3 weeks of vacation. So if you have just something like 5, 6, 7 days, is it worth it to go there? The best thing to do is to take 2 or 3 weeks and you get to visit all the habitats and see all the birds. But is it possible to take 5, 6, 7 days and just go target, just search for the golden pheasant, then Lady Amherst pheasant, then crested tit warbler, and then this and then that, and just, is that worth it and possible, or do you really need the 2 weeks?
It really depends on what targets we want. We also do this like tweeting trips. If you want, it depends on the targets. Based on the targets you've mentioned, we can do 5 to 7 days in Balang Mountain, the place I mentioned, and also Longchangkou. There's where we took those parabol pictures. You can spend 3 days in each places, and I think you can get all the targets you've mentioned. And if you want some plateau species, we can add 3 more days, and yeah, we can have good chances for that too. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I know you have a question. Yes, Scott, please.
Yeah, also kind of a similar question, but where are you based? In Chengdu, in Sichuan, or?
Yes, we're based in Chengdu, Sichuan, the capital city. Very
Like for a very short trip around Chengdu area. Also, would there be a lot of places, or not a lot, but some places that you'll go close to the city, the capital city?
Yeah, the 2 places I mentioned are just like 3.5 hours drive from Chengdu, from the capital city, so very easy.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Sure.
And very nice birding, I promise you, because I've been there 3 times and it's always been excellent. Okay, Lei Wing.
Hi, I'm very interested on the behaviors of Nangan babblers and spot-breasted babblers. And so here I would like to know that which species is more rare in this area? Do you think?
Sorry, did you, if I understood,
I would like to know the rarest species, the rarest one in this area.
Yeah, Nonggang. It's the Nonggang babbler. It's the endemic, and it has a small population. There are 2 heights has Nonggang babblers visiting, and you can only see them during the non-breeding season. During the breeding season, they all leave.
So can we identify that is a male or female? So it's quite a difficult story.
It's hard. It's difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Kusum.
Yeah, I have a. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, no problem.
Yeah, I have a question for Wenyi. Hello.
Yes, hey.
Yeah, I'm from Sri Lanka. Actually, I have observed feeding flocks in Singaraja. Have you heard about that? In Sri Lanka?
Yes, from my friend Eben Gudeo.
Yeah. So what I want to know is, do you like, have you observed mammals? Like we observe the dusky squirrel in the feeding flocks. Always when they gather for feeding, the dusky squirrel also joins the feeding flock. Do you get any species other than the birds in a feeding flock?
Yes, we do. We have wow, I don't know its English name actually. We have I think 2 species of like intermediate sized squirrels, and we also have 2 species of chipmunks that join these mixed species flocks. Other mammals, I haven't noticed.
And do they move in one direction after feeding? Like They gather together, they flock together, and then do they move in one direction, not the opposite one? So when they come from, like say, from one direction, they move to another direction while feeding. Does it like?
Oh, it seems like they do move for a short period of time. They do move in the same direction, but then those canopy flocks are very fast. Usually, when they cross a gap, then those squirrels can't follow. They.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your wonderful presentation also.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry. Let's take one more photo because we have colleagues from Spain just joined us. He's pretty late, but let's take a group photo with him. Hi, Carlos.
Hello. Yes, I'm late. I'm sorry.
You've been late almost for an hour. Is it because of the time?
Yes,
time
as you can see, Victor, it is lunchtime here.
Oh, sorry for interrupting you. Enjoy lunch. But let's take a group photo, okay?
Sure.
Let's do it again. Johnny, please turn your camera again, Johnny. Hello, Johnny. And Javier. Hello, Javier. Okay, thank you. Hello, Johnny. Oh, come on, Johnny. Well, let's do it anyway. Right, okay, smile to the camera and 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Okay, let's take one last question. Is there any? Yeah, it's Todd, please.
Hi, I just had one more question again for Bella.
Go ahead.
And when the previous question was about super rare birds, and it got me to thinking about the legendary blackthroat, and also the Przewalski's parrotbill, and also the Sillam's rosefinch. Are any of those possible?
They are all possible, but for Sillam's rosefinch, it's very tough. You need to go deep into the Kunlun Mountain, almost to the Kekeshili area on the Qinghai-Tibetan Plateau, and the road is not good to drive on, but it's accessible. And in the past, people used to camp inside that place, but now we can stay outside in a guest house. But the guest house is not that good. We normally bring our own sleeping bag. If you spend like 5 days there in the summer, normally in July, you have good chances. But if the weather is very bad, like we got horrible weather in the past, and then we missed it. Yeah.
And the blackthroat?
Oh, sorry. The blackthroat, we have chance in Sichuan and also in Hubei province. We saw it in both places last summer. That one could be a bit difficult. It's not, the chance is not very stable, reliable. I have to be, And there's another species you mentioned, sorry.
Oh, the Przewalski's parrotbill?
Oh.
It's also called, I think, rusty-throated parrotbill or something like that, or rusty-breasted.
Oh, that one is possible. That one, but you need to hike like 4 hours in the panda habitat, and go there, and then you camp there 2 nights, 3 nights. You can get it.
Is that also red panda habitat?
Yeah, red panda habitat, and around 4,000 meters is what normally what people do. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
All right. We still have more questions, but we don't have much time. So if you still have questions, just contact of my birding, and I guess they will give you best answers.
Yeah.
That's what they can. All right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the great presentation from our friends in China. And next week, again, we're working with World Bird Affairs Council. And this time, we will do South America in the whole month in April. So we're going to look forward to excellent presentations from our friends in South America. So until next week, thank you very much again. So see you next week and have a nice weekend, my friends. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night.
Hello, thank you.
Bye.